auditioning.
Auditioning.
I hate it.
It's a totally different skill than acting.
It totally is.
That's for sure.
And I have a theory that I have a theory that there are people who are awesome at auditioning who suck in a real production, and vice versa. There are amazing actors who don't work, quite frankly, because they can't audition, because they're actually, it's almost like they're too good to work with a person who can't act.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? With just a folding chair, or
or a pretend person who's just in your imagination.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Because that's kind of what you have to do when you audition.
If you're the best kind of actor who can really absorb what the other actor is giving you or the scene, and you can really kind of transcend and create, wow, that was a real bond between two real human beings. And you have to go into a room where you sit in a folding chair with a blue curtain behind you, and somebody is taping you on an increasingly small camera.
It's getting
no offense to my
smaller.
iPod Touch.
No. I don't think it was a
no, and they have an assistant reading reading with you who not only can't act but can barely actually read.
Right, and seems to be upset that they're there a lot of times.
Oh yeah,
not all the time.
Mad that they don't have the part, never realizing that they're the worst actor ever because they've been sent to torture you.
Right. I hope the casting
we'll do this. We'll throw this here. We'll throw this behind us.
Oh, check it out. Look at that.
Yeah, isn't that nice? So what would be your top 3 tips for a good audition?
You know what I always say to people about auditioning is that may be the only 5 minutes you have to perform. So you have to think of it like a performance.
Yeah.
If you like to perform like we like to perform, and maybe some of you guys at home like to perform, then you have to think of that 5 minutes as your performance opportunity. Forget about what comes after, because what comes after has so little to do with whatever you do in the room.
Right.
It has to do with your jawline, or your hair color, your height, or your weight, or whatever.
Whether they fund the project, whether it goes away, whether it turns into something else, whether they alternately cast the character. You may be the alternate cast. Right.
So you don't know. So enjoy it. That's my number 1 tip. Enjoy it. And my second tip is prepare. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. Make sure that you know your material. You've made big, bold choices. You're asking the right questions of the casting director. like about relationship and who this person is.
Yeah, like there's a tour behind us.
Oh yeah, check it out.
They're all getting to see it. They're like, what are these guys doing?
Yeah, what's happening?
Yeah.
Filmmaking.
Right. So, So I agree with both of those. And
what about you? What do you think?
I got 3.
Okay,
I think I got 3. And those are 2 really solid ones. I got 3 earlier. One is, whatever the role is, look like the best version of that role.
Yeah.
I had an ex-girlfriend who used to book every commercial she went out for. It was absurd. And I asked her what her secret was. And she goes, well, you have to do the sexy whatever it is.
Yes.
It was like the pretty version of it, the best looking version of it. So they're like, we want a guy who looks like he slept under a car and he'll punch you in the face and he's a Marine with a scar on his face. What they want is the prettiest version of that possible.
They want Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, they want
that role.
Right, exactly. But they want it to look like the best, most attractive version of the most awful people. Like that. So if the problem is if you're a serious actor and you're a character actor, you're like, this guy would really blah blah blah, and then you come in looking like crap.
Right.
Hoping they understand that's what you're doing, and they're just like, I don't know, he smelled funny. I don't know if I want to.
They don't want to be. They don't want to be like.
Right.
You don't want to be off-putting.
Look like the best version of that thing without dressing in costume.
Yeah,
look
don't
like the
dress
best
in
version.
costume.
The other is be off book. Even if you hold your paper, memorize it all.
Right.
Memorize it like crazy, so that you can
in fact,
do whatever.
We were talking to a casting director just the other day at
your workshop at your school where I was a guest. He invited me to come over, and one of the casting directors was saying, anymore, it used to be that they didn't want you off book.
No, they wanted to see that you were still in process, and I think the idea behind that was they wanted to assume that you were still flexible.
Or that you didn't think you already had the part, and that embarrasses them if they don't hire you, because so many people didn't want to memorize.
That's right.
I think that was more the casting.
But now they're doing so much more casting and auditioning
straight from video,
tape, and so they want you prepared like you're doing a scene in a movie.
Yeah,
already.
exactly.
So definitely prepared.
So just memorize it. Straight up memorize it.
Yeah.
And I guess the third one is don't. And you were saying this to some degree.
Okay.
Don't be polite. Don't be nice. Don't be, don't be rude, but don't fall all over yourself to be, like you're trying to get a job as a receptionist.
Exactly. It's a big
where
mistake.
You're like, I'm answering phones. You're not answering phones.
I used to make this mistake when I first came here because I'm from Colorado. I'm from like the middle of the country where you're taught all the time. Just be nice, be polite, be professional. And all those things are great. Again, if you're applying for a desk job somewhere, that's what you should do. But with acting, the way that I always think about it is you don't need to be rude or off-putting or aggressive or anything like that either. But you do have permission to show off whatever side of yourself is most appropriate for that moment. So if your character is aggressive, you need to at least come across the room as commanding, confident, all of those things. And the reality, as you mentioned, is every one of us is different, given a different set of circumstances. You're different with your mother as you are with your
kid or your grandmother or your somebody on the bus. You got different sides of you. Don't be afraid to own them in that space.
That's right.
And I think ultimately the problem with being focused on being polite and deferential is not that you're automatically going to be rude. It's that you're not going to give yourself the space in that audition. If you need to go take a minute, stand in the hallway and think about what you're doing or own your performance, you won't give yourself the space to do that.
Right. Remember, it's your 5 minutes.
Because politeness is very much closer as an emotion to nervous about getting the job.
That's right.
And it can be misread. So what you need, you need to just be confident. Yeah. Just simply be, if you're going to, it is more important that you come in confident, not cocky, but proud of your work, strong in your space, owning your character, owning yourself, than it is for you to be like, oh, good, yeah. It just, people, you see it all the time, and it never helps.
And I'm going to wrap this all the way back around and go, like I said in the beginning, it's your 5 minutes. So you kind of got to go in with that attitude. Like, they can't take anything away from you if you're owning that moment.
Right.
What comes after it, forget about it. But it is your moment, so make it count in the way that you want to make it count.
Well said. That wraps this up really well. Auditioning. I hate it, but you got to do it.
I actually don't mind it. I like it. It gives me a little zest, a little anger.
I feel like, get out of my way. I know what the job is. Let me do it. And I it's funny, but until I owned that feeling, I didn't book things.
Right.
I used to think I have to override that, that hating of audition. I'm like, I got to learn to love it. I was like, you know what? Hating it actually put me in that confident space. Like, I know I can do this. Why am I having to, tap dance?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not here to tap dance. I'm here to act.
Yeah.
And as long as I stayed in that space, I started booking stuff.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
And that's the deal, man.
That's right.
Booking stuff.
All right. Peace. We'll see you next time. Look at that. This has turned into a regular series. I like it. Now by the way, now we're going to go have coffee at the little stand. This is the one we were talking about in the other one.
This is the French guy.
Little French guy. We're going to go have a
tasty
café. Oui, de rien. So see you guys next time. Au revoir. See you. Bye-bye.